If you do not understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you do understand will confuse you. In all of these 9 areas of activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Anywhere on the planet, minute by minute, day by day, all of the time, all of the time, all of the time.
Well, good morning and welcome to the CRCS, the Counter Racist Code Show, with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and we thank you for tuning in to today's program. The contact number to get in contact with the show is 516-453-9921. And if you have a comment or a question, just press the number 1 button and wait for the call person to acknowledge you, and then give your name, and then we'll go from there, and then wait for me to cue you in. If you are a first-time caller, make sure that you tell the person that you are a first-time caller, and of course we have something special for you so that you will be heard. You can also use the chat room, and all you have to do is go to blogtalkradio.com, and you want to click on programs, and the program you want is the Produce Justice Show. You click on that, and to the right side, I believe it is, you click on that, and then you're in the chat room. And lastly, if you would like for me to read your question, you can contact my Gmail address, which is the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, MRBOBBY, @gmail.com, and I will read your Gmail at a time when the call volume is slow. Then we'll read it and have Mr. Fuller answer your questions. Okay, let's see here. I think that's it for that. So let's get on with the show. Let me introduce to some and present to others Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Mr. Fuller, good morning, and how are you?
Good morning. I'm still learning.
Okay, still learning. We have a special section of the program which we call Thoughts and Expressions on the Mind of Neely Fuller Jr. Mr. Fuller, today being the 19th day of the month of November 2024, what is on Mr. Fuller's mind this morning?
Well, what's on my mind is for everyone, this is what I'm advocating, everyone on the planet Earth to calm down or calm up, or whichever way you want to call it. Just be calm and focus primarily on just problem solving, and the best way to go about solving a problem that has to do with people. So there's a lot of labels being thrown around. Lots of labels. Just more and more labels of all kinds. Democrat, Republican, fascist. Just labels. And I'm saying, in thinking about that and listening to it, all kinds of labels, left wing, right wing, independent, middle of the road. And I'm saying, you can keep these labels around because they're going to be around. But the label to focus on is people. Like in the Constitution of the United States preamble. we, the people. So I asked myself, and I've been thinking about, everybody just say to themselves and to others, am I a person? P-E-R per son. Son of a person, or whatever that's supposed to mean. What is a person? Am I a person? Well, I have assumed that I am. I have many titles. Looks like everybody has at least 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 dozen titles. Dozens of titles. Every person has dozens of titles. Well, I'm a lifelong Democrat. Well, I'm a lifelong Republican. Let's fight. Wait a minute. You say you're what in the beginning? I'm a person. Okay, let's hold it right there. Just be that. How about everybody just trying being that? I'm a person. Well, what's a person? Well, whatever that's supposed to mean. We can sit down and talk about that for about 18,000 years. What is a person? Because that's what we call ourselves, most of us. I'm a person. So I say go with that and then slam dunk. Cut it off right there. Well, what other titles do you have? I don't know. As a person, I'll find out as we go along. But I am a person who is dedicated to Social Security. How about that? I'm talking about what I've been thinking about recently. And you just tell people that. You're a person. Yeah, Fuller, who are you? What are you? What's your label? I'm a person who's dedicated to Social Security. Everything that I think, say, and do is for the Social Security, Universal Social Security core. So wait a minute, Fuller, you say that you got a code and all like that. Same thing. It's all about Social Security. So what we have now, a person who is dedicated to establishing Social Security, and everything that person does is with that intention.
Hello.
Yes. I want to be socially secure. I'm just talking about myself. And when I look around at everybody else, I think I haven't tried it because this is the first try I'm doing with this. Since so many events has so many people who are saying that they're confused, they don't know what to do, they don't know what to say, they don't know who to depend on. I say just trust in God. How about that? Whatever that God is, whatever you think of as God, because that's a part of what? Social Security. Person said, well, I don't believe in Social Security. That's some left-wing mess. Get rid of Social. You don't believe in Social Security? Well, what is Social Security? Are you social? Do you interact with people? You said you were a person, so that's the way to go now. Just everybody get that clear. People who are labeled as black, white, transgender, whatever. Am I a person who believes in Social Security? Either I am or I'm not. So that's what's on my mind. We can take it from there, or we can go in any direction the callers want to take it.
All righty. We'll do it like this. 516-453-9921 is the contact number to get in contact with the show. Or you can Gmail me if you'd like for me to read it. That's at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, MRBOBBY @gmail.com. Let's go to the Gmails. Let's see here. Brother Nawab has written. He says, Mr. Fuller, you speak often about how the white supremacist takes both sides of an issue. And over the past few years, one of the leading public white supremacists and former Donald Trump and MAGA supporter, Richard Spencer, has now come out and endorsed Kamala Harris for president. And in 2020, he supported Biden. I think this is a prime example of that. Also, Mr. Fuller, can you speak once again, as you did 2 years ago, about these, quote, next election Negroes, end of quote, and why that's a ridiculous stance for us as victims of white supremacy to take? Now, in case you can't remember what that was, it was basically Negroes who every presidential election say things such as, quote, this is the most important election of our lifetime, or, end of quote, or, quote, our ancestors died for us to have the right to vote, end of quote, or if we don't vote, we could wind up back in chains, end of quote. All of the fear-mongering, etc. Mr. Fuller, can you speak to that? Thank you, Brother Jay.
Well, I was saying that I coined in a barber shop when I was about 12, 13 years old, back in Muskogee, Oklahoma. I was sitting in a barber shop, and we just had an election, because the barbers and the other elderly people who were in there, mostly elderly, were talking about the election that had been held maybe about 3 or 4 days prior to that day when I was sitting there in the barber shop back in the many decades ago. I think I was around 13 years ago. I was 13 years old. And so I said to one of the persons about my age, I said, listen to this, because we were talking about listening to the old people talk. And we said, now we just had an election. They already talking about the next election. I say they do this year after year after year. Well, next election, then the next election, we're going to get rid of that bunch who's in there now and get somebody in there going to really do something. Because, and on and on and on. And I was implying at that time, since the caller's asking, what did that mean? I say, well, I don't know, but I know what I'm hearing. I'm just hearing that, hey, maybe next election miracles will happen. And then after that election, another miracle will happen. And all of that every election just around the corner, a year from now, or 2 years from now, or 3 years from now, something will happen to make my circumstances better. And so I coined the phrase for next election Negroes.
Mm-hmm.
I said, oh, here we go, some more next election Negroes. So in answer to the question, unless there's something else associated with that question, that's what I meant at the time. Now, I kind of consider that as name calling, or could be, so I don't do that. I don't, I'm saying, just like I started off this morning's program, I wasn't in any way what you call codified back in those days. I was 13 years old. But I'm just saying, let's just stop using labels of any kind when it comes to people and say we got people have problems. Whomever the people are.
Mm-hmm.
What's the best way to solve the problem of each and every person? Because that's what you have to do in order to have what? This thing called, and we got to give a definition for that at some point, social security. Because all security is social, meaning one person interact with another. Even murder is social, but I don't think you would call that any kind of security.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
When people murder each other. So, but I'm saying, at this point here in the year 2024, everybody just kind of move all the other labels aside, other than I am a person who is dedicated to producing social security. And on a witness stand, all like that, just make that clear. If space is given for that, just make it clear to the judge and everybody else. First of all, I'm a person. And I'm a person trying to do what? Trying to produce universal social security. And that would include the Constitution, the compensatory code, or anything that anybody can think of anywhere, with all the other labels put aside for the time being.
For the time being,
yes. Yeah, let's just talk about, who are you? I'm a person. What are you here for? What's your life's plan and all like that? Producing Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
And that's
nothing
it. Yes,
else.
sir.
And if I want to go in details about it, like I'm doing here right now on this program, now we'll go into details.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see this before we take a call here. Under this government of white supremacy, in relation to, let's say, the movie Shawshank Redemption, were you surprised at the electoral results?
No.
Because?
I just wasn't. See, a part of my Social Security and a part of the code is don't be surprised at nothing ever again as you take to the next breath. Never be surprised at anything. Just make up your mind as a person to be that. Why?
Yes.
Because things happen
Mm-hmm.
that are supposed to be surprising. But if you just make up your mind in advance, you know, someone comes to me right now, just like I'm being asked right now. Were you surprised? Are you surprised? Are you going to be surprised at the next thing that happens? No. See, I'm gonna say that right out the gate. Not only not surprised at anything that has happened, going to the moon, anything, you know, but anything that does happen, things that people get anguished about and all like that. They say, well, Fuller, did you expect it to happen? And I will answer that question when whatever you're talking about happens. But as far as the events involving the election, no, I'm not surprised. Why? Because I made up my mind in advance. I'm not going to be surprised. That's a part of having a code. It's so convenient. I mean, it takes care of so many things. Like Confucius was correct. Just that simple phrase. Confucius is reported to have said a lot of things. But I'm going to keep repeating this one because, to me, it rings a big bell. Life is simple. Men make it complicated.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a simple statement
Just
that
simple as
anybody
that.
could make.
So as a victim of white supremacy in this government of white supremacy, you can expect to be mistreated, elections or not, correct?
At all times.
At all times, okay.
And you can expect to be treated correctly. If suddenly you wake up and you are, that everybody treats you with the intention of presenting you with Social Security. I'm going to keep using that term because that's a term people are familiar with. That's a term that a lot of people are looking forward to. And so you mention it. Now, if somebody wants to attack Social Security, then you can get into a question and answer thing until that's resolved. But that's a simple way to approach everything, in my opinion, about now. And starting with announcing yourself as being what? Stop talking about being a victim of white supremacy right now. Not saying that you've changed from that. If anybody asks you, you give an answer. If you are a victim, say you're a victim, because that's true. But mostly center on, I'm talking about problem solving now. Not just talking about the problem and the next problem, because there'll be more coming down the pike. Yeah. All right? It's always problems. But what we should emphasize, I am a person who is dedicated to Social Security, which means solving all problems in the most constructive manner. Now, that's the page that you would like for everybody just for conversation purposes to be on. And that's what I'm advocating. You're a person. Yeah. Well, who are you for? Who were you yesterday? Who you gonna be tomorrow? What kind of label you gonna have tomorrow? You know. Well, I'm a person who's trying to solve problems.
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight.
Yes, sir.
Let me get this straight. As a victim of racism, you're expecting Social Security?
I'm not expecting it. I'm expecting myself to produce it.
Oh, you're expecting
and everybody else that I contact,
okay.
I am asking them to be in the same, have the same goal.
Okay, okay.
That's my dedication, to get every
But they're not going to do
person.
that. You have no evidence that they're going to do that.
Now, wait a minute. I'm talking about me.
Okay, yeah, I got that.
That's another thing I'm doing away with. That I don't know who they are, whomever they are. I know that I'm a person.
Yeah, okay, we got that.
So
we're
I'm going to hold it right there. I'm going to make an assumption that everybody else who looks like they're a person, of course it's getting harder and harder, I guess, and to do that, but I guess that's something that ain't going to change no time soon. There are a lot of people who are trying to, I guess, change people into being something else. I don't know all this AI and all like this, but we'll cross that road when we get to it. But right now, I'm a person. And I look at certain creatures moving around, and I say that resembles a person. So I'm going to call that person a person. That's whether the word person is male, female, trans, whatever. If it resembles a person, I say that's a person. And that's the only qualification that a person has to have in order to produce a product called Social Security. Because all security is social.
Okay,
and then there are some people who say, no, there is a type of security that is not social. Then we can talk about that, all right?
Okay.
And include that if necessary.
Okay,
That's all I'm talking about. We've got to have a different type of conversation.
A different type of conversation while being mistreated. Okay. Well, anyway.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Let me go to the phone line. Delbert, Texas. Get ready, Delbert. Dollar Bill, hang on. Delbert, Texas. Go ahead, Delbert. Talk. You're on.
Can you hear me, Mr. Bobby?
Come on, brother. You know we got you.
Okay. I'm going to the Word Guide.
Yes.
Yeah.
Page 233.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Fuller writes about migrant/immigrant. Migrant/immigrant. And he says to avoid using these terms. And I would like for Mr. Fuller to express his views on that section to the listeners.
The reason for that section?
Yes, sir.
For whatever for whatever is in there, everything in the Word Guide is for people to pick and choose what they think will work for whatever they're working for best. So whatever I say about migrants, I'm not looking at it now. It's kind of hard for me to see anything now. Only kind of some ailments I have. I'm not looking at it. Even if I was, I couldn't read it. But you look at it and you see if you can use it in order to, and I'm saying nowadays, as a person, solve a problem. That's all it is. Everybody, all over the planet. So, if you're going to talk about migrants, you can use that as a guide, and if you don't, just turn the page or come up with a guide of your own when it comes to migrants. But this is just a viewpoint. That's why it's in there, because that was the question you asked. Why is it in there? To help a person solve problems, like the whole guidebook. If you have a problem that involves migrants or whatnot, you want to talk about migrants, you might talk about it from the viewpoint of what you're looking at in the compensatory word guide. Or you can say, oh, I don't know what Fuller's talking about. I don't need to know. Why? Because I got my migrant problem solved. And I got my own ideas about it. So I don't really need to know what Fuller has. But then another person sitting next to him might say, what does Fuller say? He say, well, that's what I say too. I agree with that. Okay. Not because Fuller said it, because it works for me when it comes to migrants or talking about migrants. It works for me or for what I'm trying to do, which is produce something called justice.
Yeah.
That's what everybody on the planet should be trying to do.
Mr. Fuller, it looks as though you're indicating that the white supremacists use the terms in a manner that causes them to benefit and to cause confusion to non-white people.
Yes, everything that a white supremacist does is for what? White supremacy.
Yeah.
That's why a white supremacist is a white supremacist. See, you do things according to what you believe in doing. If you're given a chance to do it, all persons, people do that. All creatures do that. Everybody wants to do something. A white supremacist wants to do things that ensure the social security of a white supremacist. Meaning every person that a white supremacist interacts with, a white supremacist wants them to be in support of a system called the system of white supremacy. Logically speaking.
Okay. I'm not tracking that one, but okay. Delbert, did you have another question before we take a break here?
Oh, is there a problem with that? With the answer, or did I answer?
Well, I'm not connecting with what you're saying. There seems to be a disconnect. It's probably me, but I'm not connecting with what you're saying because you keep mentioning
said
that
on
with
this
Social
program
Security.
is supposed. Everything said on this program is supposed to be connected with the people who are talking to each other. And that's what we are all doing on this program.
Yeah.
Or any other program I'm ever on. So if I'm not connecting people with what's being said, there ain't no point in saying it. And that includes the host and definitely any callers.
Mr. Fuller, I was trying to connect it with the move to deport migrants today, and the new administration is
that's your intention?
Yes, sir.
Well, do you see anything that will help you to do that? Because that's not what I would use it for.
Well, it shows how,
What do I say? First of all, like I said, I started off saying this. What did I say about migrants?
since you say you're looking at it?
Oh, it says avoid using these terms. Instead, use terms like travelers seeking better conditions, travelers looking for constructive employment, travelers trying to produce justice, travelers seeking excitement, travelers seeking the ways that others use the word migrant, immigrant, explorer, adventurer, pioneer, pilgrim, aggressor, developer, missionary, conqueror, invader, settler, intruder, etc.
Anytime any person moves, now that's exactly what I meant. Anytime a person moves, you are doing what? Migrating. Think about it. My goodness. We don't think about the words that we use. But a word can mean anything. That's what I mean by it. You go from one room to another, you migrated. I'm not no migrant. I'm not no immigrant. I'm not, hey, did you move? Did you get out of that chair and walk across the room and sit in another chair? You migrated from chair A to chair B. I just saw you do it. Oh, I just moved. Oh, well, what do you mean by migrant? Move. Well, did you move? Yeah. But that ain't the same thing. Okay, what is the same thing? Now we got another question. What is a migrant? Well, I migrated from England to a place that I thought and that people say was the other side of the world.
Mm-hmm.
They call it the New World. And my name is Sir Francis Drake. Now, a person can say I migrated, or that I moved, or that I what? Explored. But you moved from one place to another.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why did I move? Well, looking for a shorter route to where I really want to go. But I ran into something that I didn't expect. So, I'm going to call this a place that, not just a place that I moved to, coming from someplace else. I'm going to call this an alien place full of savages that I'm going to conquer. Oh, so now your reason for moving has changed. Yeah, but just call me a tourist.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that. But you still move from one place to another. So the only factor now, in my opinion, is what do you move for?
Mm-hmm. Delbert, are you tracking or connecting with what he's saying in regards to what you found in the word guide?
Yes, sir.
But you say your reason for doing it is to do what? You want to know what a migrant is, so to see if it will help you to do what? It's the reason why you want to know what a migrant is, according to me. And I gave you the reason. You read it to me. You read it to me, okay? And then you say, your motive for wanting to know what a migrant is to do what?
I understand how the white supremacists determine what illegal migration is.
The way to do that is to ask them. Them who? The white supremacists. If you can identify them. I don't identify any person as a white supremacist. According to the code, I'm prohibited from doing that. Unless that white person tells me themselves that that's who they are. Now, I can suspect that's who they are, and I will tell people that, and will, and do. I suspect you could be a white supremacist, sir, or ma'am, or what have you.
All right. Well,
and then I'll give them the reason why.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
All right. Well, all right, Delbert. It's probably me, but I'm not really connecting with that one. But okay. Hey, thanks for calling, Delbert, and don't be a stranger. We're way over break here. Let's do this. You're listening to the Counter Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and we'd love for you to call in, and you can do that by calling 516-453-9921, and a question or comment. Make sure that you press the number 1 button and wait until you are acknowledged, and then give your name, and then wait again until I cue you in, and then you can ask your question to have Mr. Fuller answer that. You can also join the chat room. There are a few people in the chat room. All you have to do is go to blogtalkradio.com, and you want to click on where it says programs, and the program you want is the Produce Justice Show. You click on that, and then there's a little box becomes available, and the icon for you to get in the chat room, and you can get in the chat room. And lastly, if you'd like for me to read your question, you can Gmail me at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, MRBOBBY, at gmail.com. I will get it and read it at a time when the call volume is not strong, and then have address your question to Mr. Fuller and have him answer your question, and I will let you know. Okay, now the book that is referenced today is the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, a book that Mr. Fuller has written, and you can get that book by going to producejustice.com. That is producejustice.com. Okay, let's move along here. Gmail. No, let me go to the dollar in New York. That'd be dollar bill. Let's see here. Thank you, Delbert from Texas, for calling in. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, dollar bill. Let's see here. Move this over here. And you are waiting. There you go. Dollar bill, you're on. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Mr. Bobby and Mr. Fuller?
I'm good myself.
I'm still learning.
I know that's right. Good to hear your voice, Mr. Fuller. You always keep me going because I can't wait to hear you on Tuesdays. I wanted to ask you about, you talked about Shawshank. And I'm wondering, in the Shawshank Redemption, what major lesson, you refer to that, but what major lesson are we supposed to really take for that? And I have a second part to that, Spot, if you don't mind. But what major lesson are we supposed to get from Shawshank regarding racism, defeating racism, and the other point? Well, just defeating racism and solving the problems of the world, bringing forth justice. Yes, that was it.
Hope.
What are we supposed to get from the movie? Hope. Okay. Could you explain a little bit more?
Remember, Andrew Dufresne wrote a letter to Red that Red found with that money by that wall. Remember the scene?
Yes.
He talked about what in that letter.
About
That's
him
what
following.
I mean by, huh?
about him following him to where he was supposed to meet? He got the money and then
yes, but he was also talking about something else. He mentioned it, a very important word he had mentioned before. Hope. You're talking about lessons now.
So how does that apply to defeating the system of racism and white supremacy? Hope.
Yeah, good
you
question.
You got to have hope. Otherwise, you stop doing anything. You say, well, I just don't see my way. It's just too complicated. This is driving me crazy. I talk to people. I mean, my situation gets worse. I don't even want to be in this world no more. I'm going to commit suicide. And the frame, in answer to the question, kept talking about it, even when he was locked up doing double life, I think, in prison for 2 murders. That was the charge.
Mm-hmm.
And Red asked him when he got out of solitary confinement. He said, what kept you going when you were down there in that hole? He said, that was the easiest time I ever did. He said, what do you mean? He said, I took what I was listening to when they took me to the hole, I took it with me. He said, what? I took that music. And Sir Haywood said, they let you take that music box down in the hole? Say, no. Said, I have it inside of me. Said, it kept me going. And Red said, kept you going? How? He said, it gave me hope. And Red said, look, you better give up on that. Hope is a dangerous thing. Hope can drive a man crazy. And you better give up on the idea or you will lose your mind, because it's got no place for anybody who's locked up for double life. Get rid of that idea of hope. Just think about the next moment, getting some cigarettes or something. But hope for the future, forget about it. And Andy said, I ain't doing that. And by Andy having it, it gave him incentive to just get busy living or get busy lying. And Andy said, I ain't going to do like Brooks did. He got busy dying. Get busy living or get busy dying. Said, but if you have hope, you just keep on going, regardless of what's happening, regardless of how terrible looks like the world is coming to an end. You just say, well, hey, I'll just watch it come. But I ain't checking out. I'm going to keep on working right up to the last minute. Which is what I'm saying, and the reason I wrote my book and everything else, the reason I'm talking about Shawshank Redemption as a movie loaded with lessons. These lessons are repeated in a whole, one way or another, in every movie that I have listed. Hope, looking forward, anticipating, being disappointed, how to handle disappointment, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
It's
what was
all
your second
through
question?
Most of the scenes.
Mm-hmm. What was your second question, Dollar Bill?
Have I answered the first one?
My second question will be, when it comes to the movie, how Andy didn't do anything for anyone else but himself. So should we take that lesson also as saving ourselves first? Because he didn't save anyone else.
Hold it right there. Did you see the movie?
Huh? Yes, I did.
Did you see the movie?
Yes, sir. Many times.
Now, you made a statement.
Yes.
And that statement was, Andy didn't help anyone but himself.
To escape. I should have put that.
Wait a minute. Oh, to escape.
Yes, sir.
Well, it depends on what you mean by escape. Andy escaped, and then Andy helped through the use of hope. First of all, have himself escape, and helped Red escape doing what Brooks did, and also kept Red, after being released, from going back. That's help. That's help big time. Red, I'm going to fix it so, since I'm out. I'm going to prepare a place for you to get out, because I can't have control over you getting out. But if you get out, and they did let Red out, but he was getting ready on his own to go back. But Andy said, you go up there in Buxton, Maine. There's a wall up there. And I can help you from here on in without going back to Shawshank. Go up to that wall, Red, and I will help you have a new life rather than the life you're just used to locked up. I would say that's some pretty significant help.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Or just like when you mentioned about hope. Now, I disagree with you only on this point, that there were three factors involved in that hope, which Andy exploited. Because see, when he was in there, he not only was he there physically, his body, his mind, and his soul. And what Andy did was he freed his mind so that his mind, body, and soul could help him escape from the physical prison that he was in. And that inspired Red to engraft the same hope so that he wouldn't feel like Brooks did.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I mean, connections.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody on the planet. See, you do the best you can with what you got. You can't use what you don't have. And to use what he had. Just like Red was using what he had to get a little extra money. He was the regular Sears and Roebuck. I'm the guy to come to if you want stuff. And that gave Red a little chance to have some hope about something.
Right, and he exploited that hope, and eventually...
Yes, right.
Eventually
he wanted what all people want. He wanted recognition.
Yes.
Red got it by saying, when people got in, they say, oh, if you want that, you're going to have to talk to Red.
Okay.
And Red liked that.
And
we
Red
all like that.
Yes.
Yeah, somebody coming to you, I mean, letting you know that you're something other than just a number. See, Red, everybody in Shawshank knew Red.
Yeah, everybody knew Red.
White, black. Hey, Red can get stuff.
Yeah.
See? And then Red began to realize, hey, Andy gets stuff, but they got a different way of going about it.
Yeah.
Like we're sitting here drinking this beer. We ain't seen no beer. We ain't even think about beer. Locked up in here. I couldn't get no beer in here. And they got the guard, the worst guard you could ever have in the world, bringing us beer. I can't believe it. That's what Haywood was doing. Said, hey, you got us all this beer and you ain't drinking? He said, I gave up drinking a long time ago.
A long time ago, right.
Yeah.
See, that's the way we are.
Drinking is what got me in here.
Right. Got him in here. See, we have those three things. And thank you, Dollar Bill, for your call. I really appreciate that.
All kinds of lessons.
Yeah. See, it's
we just don't see them. We're looking right up.
That's right. Because we've been trained to be one-dimensional, which is basically physically. But see,
now we're getting somewhere.
Right. There's a mental aspect to it and a soul aspect to it. But when you put those three together, mind, body, and soul, then that gives you the emphasis or push or whatever to defeat the situation that you're in. That is the real Social Security. Victor, I'm going to get you on the other side because I'm going to have Mr. Fuller talk about his book for the next 3 minutes. Mr. Fuller, before we go to the second hour, we need to talk about your book there.
Yes, sir. The book is about problem solving. What's the biggest problem in the world? Social Security. It's a cliche, but we can use it. And it's one that's already alive and running. Social Security. Now somebody will say, "Oh, that's a communist idea." Hey. Now we can really talk. What's a communist? We can talk about that for about 50 million years. But what's a communist? It's a communist idea. Social Security is a communist idea. Well, let's first of all talk about what is Social Security. Do you want Social Security? Oh, yeah, well, them people that sit around, man, they ain't doing nothing. I mean, I applied for Social Security. Man, they just got a whole lot of paperwork. They got a whole lot of questions and whatnot. I say, and neither Philip, I'm talking to him, I'm saying, I'm not talking about some people you talk to about Social Security. I'm talking about Social Security, but I'm including all of them, including the people who are shuffling in the papers and the people you're criticizing. Do they want Social Security? How about them apples? The same people you're saying are denying you Social Security. Do they have Social Security? What is Social Security? See, that's what I mean by stopping, throwing everything down, and if we're going to use labels, talk about each label until you fully understand what every word in labeling means and does not mean. And that might take 200 days.
It might take 200 days, yeah.
And it might take 2,000 days.
Mm-hmm.
Like I talked about something this morning, and Mr. Bobby said he doesn't get it. Well, the code says once you have something, you have said something, and people don't get what you're saying, it means you can't turn that loose, even if you have to get back to it at some other time.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, that's okay.
But you cannot turn that loose. You have to keep at it. You don't turn nothing loose.
Just like Andy did. He kept at it, and then he eventually
Right. You keep at it. There ain't no such. Well, when do you stop? You stop when all questions, because that's a question, are answered.
Yes.
You don't have that we the people, which I'm saying we should be using that more and more.
More and more.
We the people, and am I a person? If I'm a person, hey, I'm we the people.
All righty. I got to get out of this first hour. So thank you for all those that were connected with the first hour. Hey, yeah, because I'm looking at that, the people that called in. So thank you for the first hour, all of you that called in and were able to glean something off of it. I hope something was said that will inspire you. Remember, 3 persons, mind, body, and soul. That's who you are. Hopefully we'll say something that will inspire you. And if we made mistakes, which I'm sure we did, please forgive us. But we look forward to hearing from you from next week. But for those who are going to be with us for the next hour, Victor, I got you, and looks like I got Corey. Yeah, we got you. And anybody else? Yeah. Thank you, and stay tuned for the second hour of the Counter Racist Code Show that will commence in 10 seconds. All righty. Welcome back to the second hour of the Counter Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and we thank you for tuning in, and we'd love for you to call in or even write in so that I can read your Gmails. But here's the number that you call in to. It is 516-453-9921, and if you have a question or comment that is commonly referred to as a VGQ, all you have to do is just press the number 1 button and wait till the person on the other end acknowledges you, and make sure you give them your name so that Mr. Bobby can give you the proper introduction, and then when you are queued up to call in or speak, then you may. You can do that. Or you can also Gmail me at my Gmail address, which is the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, MrBobby, at gmail.com. You can do that, and then I'll get your Gmail, and it probably will not be read today. However, it could. But anyway, there are some that are left up. But anyway, you do that, and then when it is read, I will let you know. And lastly, you can get into the chat room, and all you have to do for that is to go to blogtalkradio.com, and you want to click on where it says programs, and under the program menu, there are a list of shows, but the show you want is the Produce Justice Show. You click on that, and then you're there, and the chat room icon becomes available, and you can get in that. Now, listen, when you're in there, please, ma'am, please, sir, do not ask me a question to ask Mr. Fuller. That's just not going to happen today. You can call in for that or Gmail me for that. But there are opinions that are in there, and they're good opinions, good for chatting, so you can do that. All right, books. All the book that Mr. Fuller is going to be talking about or is talking about or making reference to, as some callers have done in the first hour, is at producejustice.com. Producejustice.com. Get that book, and even if you don't get it for yourself, you want to share that with others. It's a book of suggestions on how to deal with racism, which is white supremacy. Okay. I think we can do that. Okay, and I believe that is it. So he's been holding on for a long time, so let's get him. Let's go into Canada, and that's going to be you, Victor. Let me see if I can get you in here. Okay, Victor. Okay, Victor, you're in.
Oh, Mr. Fuller and Mr. Bobby, the question that I had is because I was trying to see if I could get an answer. I put a question on the Carl Nelson show, I thought you were going to be on, Mr. Fuller, but you weren't on. And so the question that I asked is, can I try to make a constructive purpose out of interactions with a white person who's mistreating me? So that was the question.
You make every contact produce a constructive result, like even calling in on this show. When you hang up the phone, ask yourself, did you get anything that you can use that was constructive out of this by making this call or by listening? And if the answer is no, that's not supposed to happen. See, the goal as a person on the planet, in the universe, everything that you make contact with is supposed to produce a constructive result. You can let every person that you encounter on the planet know that. Constructive results for everybody involved. Because if anything happens that's non-constructive, that's not problem solving. That's just trading in one problem for another. We're not supposed to be in the problem trading business as persons. I don't think, as we the people. And if you're a person, every move should produce a constructive result. Whether you're talking to someone or whether you're doing something with someone, directly and indirectly, baling hay or whatever. Is this constructive? Is driving this tractor constructive? Yeah, I just produced a whole field of broccoli, the best field of broccoli ever produced. And when I get off this tractor and look out there, there's nothing but broccoli, because I'm a broccoli farmer. And what I'm looking at, as far as the eye can see, and I'm standing on top of my tractor, far as I can see, is the best production of broccoli in the world as far as I know or I've heard about. And a whole lot of it. Now, is broccoli constructive? It's supposed to be one of the healthiest foods. Which, if you ask the average person who talks about a menu, you say, how often do you see broccoli on a menu in a fast food place? You know. And yet we say, I'm in poor health. Could it be in something you eat? I hope I'm not getting away from the question. But the way codification works, all things are connected. Like what I'm saying now is connected with we the people, which is the preamble to the Constitution of the United States, which is what I say should be used constantly. Everybody on the planet should use the Constitution of the United States. You say, Paul, now you talking in riddles, you talking in circles. I'm talking the way that the code requires me to talk. the Constitution of the United States is a part of the code. So I'm not anti-Constitution of the United States of and for America, and in parentheses, Africa and Asia. The Constitution of the United States is for America, Africa, and Asia, and for, collectively, we, the people. What people? The people that I just announced.
All righty. All right.
The people. We the people. I'm a person. Yeah. Just think of it like that. See, I started off talking these 2 hours this morning about what was on my mind. I said, man, everybody just keeps adding labels to the same thing. And what does adding labels do? Causes confusion, for one thing. Why not just have a few labels like, there is a person. What do people supposed to be doing? Interacting with each other for Social Security. What is Social Security? So that everything that everybody does helps another person not be mistreated, and helps another person, helps everybody not being mistreated.
There you go.
And the people who need help the most get the most constructive help.
That
should apply to all people. All people. We the people. Hold it right there. Well, what kind of people? I mean, you didn't say nothing about he's going to be a left-winger. Hey, person.
Right.
Just don't mistreat the person.
Just don't mistreat the person.
And help that person the best way you can in the most constructive manner.
Most constructive, absolutely correct. And this is what Andy Dufresne did in the Shawshank Redemption. And
all through everything that we are talking about is supposed to have that objective. Now, if anybody objects to that, as a part of the Constitution, freedom of speech, stand up and be counted.
That's it.
See, I'm against people being treated correctly. I'm against people when people need help the most. The person that needs help the most. I mean, I want to see them just keep on being in that condition. And the person that is not mistreating people and all like that, they ain't doing what they're supposed to do. I'm for mistreatment, and I'm not for people who need help the most getting it. I mean, and just say that, if that's what you believe. Then everybody knows who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, just say it. Keep it simple. Keep it simple, like Confucius said. You don't need all these labels and whatnot. Hey, man, are you right wing or left wing? Left wing and right wing of what wing? Yeah. Chicken wing, or what are you talking about?
You know, we've been discussing as a reference point the Shawshank Redemption, but you have to keep this in mind. Remember when it was brought up about something that the Reverend Wright, Jeremiah Wright said, hell, you talking about a 22-minute speech? Well, listen, look at it this way. The election happened. You already saw what happened. What are you worried about? What are you worried about? Remember in the movie Shawshank Redemption, the warden was in control. And look what he did. And he had all his cronies. Well, you could look at the election and look who won the election and look at the people whom the person that has been elected as president has surrounded himself with. Look at it. What are you worried about? In the Shawshank Redemption, what happened? All of them went down, didn't they? Yeah, based on their actions. Well, guess what's going to happen here? Guess what's going to happen here? It's going to happen again. What you worried about? You have to treat people in the right way. Sometimes it's hard wanting to be nice to them, but no accusation can be held against you because you did the right thing. Thank you, Victor, for your call. Ray in Dallas. Then we'll get to you, Corey. Ray in Dallas. 2-question Ray. Here you go, Ray.
Yes, sir. Good morning. I do have 2 questions. Thank you. And can I please stay on the line, sir?
Go ahead, Ray.
Thank you. Mr. Fuller, the code suggests not to ask for love, respect, or an apology. Why should justice be asked for?
I said, don't ask for love, don't ask for respect, and don't ask for an apology. Not ever. Those 3 things. Now,
yes,
what was
sir.
the question?
So why should justice be asked for?
Why suggest that you...
Why should justice be asked for?
Oh, you can ask for justice because it should be. What is respect? Justice means guaranteeing that no person is mistreated and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help. And that's whether you're riding a bus or you're working in an office that's just got 5 people. Help the person of those 5 that needs help the most. Help the most on doing what? On doing anything constructive that's got to be done. That's the first thing you determine. This project we're working on, is this constructive? Say yes. And it's got to be done. Because it's constructive, it solves problems. Okay. Now, does anybody in here, just 5 of us, need some help doing it? And find out what the help is, and to the best of your ability, do it. And or now that we know that Fred needs the most help, and we don't know how to give it to him, find somebody who can. That's all. That's the procedure. That's why you ask the question, trying to get to the root cause. Now, is anybody being mistreated? Well, Miss Ellen says she's being mistreated. At least she was last week. I can check with her again and say, has that all been solved, that problem of mistreatment? And she said that it isn't. Okay, let's find out where the mistreatment is coming from. Was it actually mistreatment, or she thought it was mistreatment, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And if it was actually mistreatment, stop the mistreatment. 5 people, 5 persons, and forget about the labels. All right? Just concentrate on no mistreatment, getting the help that's needed. End of story. Keep it simple. Don't make it complicated. And how does it get complicated? All these labels. My goodness. It's like having a shipment of goods on a barge stacked up to the sky almost, and all of them got all kinds of labels on it and nobody can read anything. Man, you talking about what? What you got on hand. Now here's cargo. All the boxes got labels. But the labels is written in a language that nobody never heard of. What do you have here? A very important word that's supposed to be avoided at all costs. Confusion.
All righty. Ray,
There's
what's
the
your
captain
second
of that ship who's got to take those barges off and ship them different places. Do you think that captain got a problem when he looks and say, "Is this in Turkish?" And everybody looks and say, "No, that's not Turkish." And everybody checks all the different languages throughout the world. Said, "This ain't in no language." All these boxes got labels about where they're supposed to be sent. And it don't mention nothing about Chile or New York or Liverpool. I mean, something that somebody's familiar with. None of the languages. Nobody never heard of any of the tribal languages. You know? Is it all written in some type of obscure Indian tribe somewhere in the Andes or down in Brazil of 300 people, but they can speak this language? Get him in here. I mean, man, big time.
Okay.
He can speak your language, and he can read this language, and he'll say, yeah, somebody, I guess, of my tribe just wrote the labels and put them all over everything you got in here. So,
okay.
But I can speak this language. Man, that's the most valuable person to you in the world.
Okay.
Ray,
did that answer your first question?
As far as your business is concerned.
Okay. Did that answer your first question, Ray?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What's your second question, please, sir?
Yes. Is a disconnection and or lack of overall understanding more likely to occur if an individual has not read the code at least one time in its entirety?
Sure. Because you've got that can happen, but then what it does, see, one of the so-called, I don't like to say subtitles, one of the titles of the code is a textbook workbook for thought.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's all what I have written is for you, first of all, to think. If you consider yourself a victim of mistreatment, which is all that this thing called white supremacy really is. If you take care of mistreatment, a person can walk around and all day long saying, I'm a white supremacist, but the person is not mistreating nobody. All right? That's all the code requires. Oh, he's a white supremacist. He don't love me. Hey, is he mistreating anybody? Well, he ain't mistreated me. You know. Does he give you help when you need it and it turns out to be constructive? Yeah, every time I interact with him. You say, well, does he say I heard somebody say he don't like black people. Yeah, I heard somebody said that he said that. So, well, does he? And so if I want to know, I'll walk over and ask if he agrees to talk about race, if I want to know. And the person says, yeah, I'll talk about race. What do you want to talk about? So somebody said you didn't like black people. I don't. I can't stand black people. You say, well, I'm black. He said, I can see that. Do you like me? No. Say, why don't you like me? Because I just don't like you. I don't know why. So when I go back and talk to the other person, I'll tell the person, yeah, he said he didn't like black people. So, does he mistreat you? No, not to my knowledge. And anytime you need any kind of help, he does his best to give it to you. Yeah, but he don't like black people. No, he said so to my face. Now the code says, what's the problem? Because Neely Fuller don't see one. I don't think people get that. Because that's huge. What Neely Fuller said, hey, I just raised a question. What's the problem? Well, one person might say, well, the problem is you don't like me. Well, so I might even go back and ask, who do you like? Nobody. But he ain't mistreating nobody. And he's knocking himself out trying to help the person that needs help the most once he becomes aware of it. But he don't like nobody. Well, what about yourself? You like yourself? No. Why is it you don't like yourself? Because I don't like nobody. I'm a person. I'm somebody. I don't like nobody. I don't like people. Well, you don't like yourself? No. So all I can do is just look around the room. Well, I have no further questions. Y'all got some, y'all can ask.
Okay.
See how I'm saying, looking at the world the way that I see it, and the way each person is listening to me now, that I'm advocating. See, this is supposed to be solving problems. Every talk, every time the phone rings and we're talking about the counter-racist code show, we're talking about problem solving, not just wringing our hands and giving exercises on how everybody feels. We're talking about keeping people from mistreated, every person, and giving the person help that's needed of the most constructive kind. That's it. It's not a long catalog of this, that, and other. That is it.
That is it.
It isn't anything else.
Okay. All right, two-question, Ray. Thank you for your call, and yes, you may stay on the line. We're going to break it off here as we get into the last half hour. Thank you for listening to the program so far. And we have, about 32 minutes to go into the second hour. Now, we would love for you to make contact with the show, and you may do so by calling 516-453-9921. If you have a question or comment for Mr. Fuller, please do that. Or you can just call in and just listen, as some do. But if you would like to be a participant, you can also dial that number and press the number 1 button and then wait for them to acknowledge you. And then when you do, give them your name and then wait for me to clue you in when it's time. You can also blog talk or chat in the chat room on Blog Talk by going to blogtalkradio.com, and you want to click on where it says programs. You click on programs, and the program you want is the Produce Justice Show. And then you can do your thing on that. The chat room becomes available for you. Or you can do Gmail me at the numero 7, Mr. Bobby, MRBOBBY @gmail.com. I may not get to some of those who have written today, but at some point in time I will have an opportunity to get to those Gmails so that Mr. Fuller can answer your questions. The book, ProduceJustice.com, is where you can get the book, The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept. You might consider that book to that, either for yourself or even for another person, with a book of suggestions on how to deal with this. Stay focused, baby. Stay focused, and hopefully I'll get a chance to ask Mr. Fuller about Casablanca, however you pronounce it. Yeah, I'd like to do that. But anyway, we'll go right here. Okay, let's go back to the phone lines. And Corey, yes, Corey, you are in. Corey, go ahead, please.
Greetings, Mr. Bobby, Mr. Fuller.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Fuller, can you explain in a way that we can understand how, under the system of white supremacy racism, people most qualified to give help to non-white people are white people? Is that correct, Mr. Fuller? And if it is, can you please just expound on that a little bit?
Well, according to the evidence, dark-skinned people everywhere I've heard about or whatnot, for the most part, directly or indirectly, people of color, directly or indirectly, have a question that's kind of uppermost in their minds, even when they're going about doing whatever they're doing. When it comes to problem solving, which way did the white people go? After you strip it down, everybody goes back and forth about the pyramids, and you see somebody with dark skin. The major question that they have when it comes to having problems, and everybody on the planet has a problem of some type, even though it might be no bigger than putting a wheel on the wagon. When you put that wheel on the wagon, you're going somewhere. You're trying to get somewhere. But directly or indirectly, if you want it done in a very, very efficient manner, more than going anywhere else, you're either directly or indirectly saying, if you're a person of what you call color, saying, you're talking about problem solving. You're talking about getting something done in the best possible manner. Which way did the white people go? And we prove that when we get ready, when we got a whole lot of problems, and we get ready to make a move, hey, I'll talk about being here and being there and visiting this place and visiting that place, and I'll talk about all my great ancestors. Which way did the white people go? Man, I got a serious problem. Real serious. Show me a white face. And that'll start me in the correction to getting my problem solved. Why? Because I don't like y'all? No. You look just like me. I don't see you solving no problems. I solve problems. You don't know about them. I invented this. You did? Well, I got... well, hey, if you're a problem solver, what am I doing with a problem? I'm making you aware of my problems. And you telling me directly or indirectly, oh, you gonna have to go further than this village. Go further than this village to solve a problem? Any problem that I have? That's what you're telling me? After bragging about how long my village has been here? 10 trillion years? And I'm telling you about a problem I got right now? And you were talking about me packing what few belongings I can carry, which don't amount to much, and trying to get across some type of border where people with guns are on the other side telling me, go back where you came from. Don't come here. I'll come where you are. Take pictures and all this kind of stuff and help you sustain what little operation you got that I set up, because it wasn't even here before I came here and set it up. Now you got something going, but it ain't enough. You yourself said it ain't enough. Where I am, there's plenty of everything. Wherever I go, there's plenty of everything. I know what to do with it. And when I get there, if you say, well, yeah, but you said you want it, but it belongs to me. And them people you going among says, it belonged to you before I got here. Oh, yeah. But I'm going to set up a thing called a fence here. And everything on this side of the fence is mine. And everything on the other side of the fence is yours until I tell you that it's mine. How about that deal? Well, ain't nothing on my side of the fence no way, because you didn't leave me nothing here to work with. Oh, now you begin to wake up and smell the coffee. That's why you're in the shape you're in. You weren't thinking ahead. The difference between me and you is I think ahead all the time. I plan ahead all the time.
All right. Corey, did that hit the spot for you?
Yes, sir, it did. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate it, Mr. Fuller.
All right. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Let's go to a Gmail here. This comes from Farrell. Says, good morning, Mr. Fuller. I was watching the UAP hearings. I think it's unidentified aerial phenomenon, in other words, UFO. Said I was watching the hearings, and one of the gentlemen mentioned that if the government were to reveal what these UFOs are, society would lose faith in their religion, amongst other things. My question to you, Mr. Fuller, is how does this man know what would cause a person to lose faith? Is this suspected racist behavior?
You can ask the person. All problems, it's got to be remembered as we talk, even though I say it over and over again. All problems are solved through the process of what? Questions and answers. And if somebody makes a statement, you want to know what the statement means? Ask the person that made the statement. Confucius again. Life is simple. Men make it complicated. And what makes anything complicated? having a question without an answer. Yes, sir.
Wait a minute, Mr. Fuller. Wait a minute. Now, this man here is asking you a question that he cannot ask this person. He's really asking your opinion. Is this suspected?
Oh, now he's asking me my opinion.
Yeah, that's what he's doing, yeah.
Oh, okay. What is my opinion on what now?
Yeah, he says, wait a minute. He says, I was watching the hearings on UFOs, and one gentleman mentioned that if the government were to reveal what these UFOs are, society would lose faith in their religion, amongst other things. My question is, Mr. Fuller, how does this man know what would cause a person to lose faith? Is this suspected racist behavior? That's what he asked you.
Well, he asked me two questions, so I'll answer the first question.
All right.
The first question first. You don't move to the second.
Okay.
First question was, how does this man know?
Yeah.
Know what?
He wanted to know, how does this man know that this would change people's religion?
I don't know what this man knows.
Okay.
See, that's all the only answer I can give. That's why I keep saying something that's a part of the code. He said what he said.
Okay. I don't know if the evidence speaks to that, but he asked that. Okay, what about the second part of the question is?
Okay, the second question is what?
Is this suspected racist behavior?
It could be. If it's a racist doing it, I'd have to establish that first.
Well, then that opens the door. It could or it could not.
If the person is white, I would suspect the person could be rather a racist, and if the person is a racist, the person is thinking that way because that would be now suspected racist behavior.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
On the part of me, the victim.
On the part of you, yeah. Okay, got it. Okay.
Because what white person is a racist? I don't know except those who are. And how do I know that? I don't. Well, can I suspect a white person as being a racist? And should I suspect a white person as being a racist? Yes or no, Fuller? Yes, if they're able to be one.
Right. Yeah, could be.
In the system of white supremacists, somebody in the system of white supremacists.
Exactly. Like you said,
a person
could
if the person is able. Now, the person is not able, the person is white. But the person is not able to be a white supremacist.
Right. I like it when you said this. Could be suspected as. You didn't accuse the person.
Real important. That's a big difference.
Big difference. Okay.
And the code actually says, don't ever say that a white person is a racist unless that white person says that he or she is one.
Could be suspected as. Gotcha. Okay. All righty. Let's go here. I think I know who this is, but the name is not on there. But I think it's my brother from the Yo. Let me see if I can get him in here. Yeah. Is that you, Brother Talif?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Top of the morning.
Your name isn't on the screen, but I recognize the prefix up there in the Yo. Okay, go ahead. Do your thing.
Top of the morning. I wasn't going to call in. I was just going to listen, but I wanted to hit on something that Mr. Fuller mentioned. But a couple of things. I know Mr. Fuller said when you talk about something and you don't get it right away, don't turn it loose. So you remember Mr. Bobby James Brown had a hit song that said, give it up, turn it loose. Now, I don't know what that means. But also, Mr. Fuller, you said that which way did the white people go? Okay, now I'm referring to what Harriet Tubman said, I could have freed more if they only knew they were slaves. See, Mr. Fuller, our people don't realize they give you just enough just to keep you in line. You hear them say my house, my car, my dog, my child, or some of them have even said my government. So, Mr. Fuller, you answer this question, but most people have been so disillusioned that they don't even realize that they're trapped. And something else, I don't know if you want to answer that, but something else I want to say to all the callers on here, you don't necessarily have to wait until every Tuesday when Mr. Fuller calls. You can form your own coalition, or you can talk to people like I do a free conference call every week. I mentor kids. So if you want solutions, you need to start within yourself. And that's all I want to say. But Mr. Fuller, what do you say to those when you say which way did the white people go? Some of them don't know that they're still trapped. And a lot of our people have that problem because, like I said, they said my car, my house, my government, and what did Malcolm say years ago? Our astronauts. They won't even let you near the plant. So, Mr. Fuller, I don't know. I don't know if you want to expound on that, but that's why I say we're doomed. I've seen melanated people selling Donald Trump shirts. Well, when I was a kid growing up, I was taught that we had a lot of pride to do for self. And if you got any help from the government, that was just an extra. But, Mr. Fuller, I think so many of us have went so far to that side because I always ask people when I see them, melanated folks, okay, you say you got all this, you got all that. And there was a group out of California called Cypress Hill. They said when the it goes down, you better be ready. And I always ask our people, Mr. Fuller, what side are you going to be on? Now, okay, you married the so-called white woman or you married a black. So, Mr. Fuller, I'm saying what Harriet Tubman said. Most of us don't even know that we're still trapped. So how do you fix that? And, Mr. Bobby, it's a lot going on here in the Yo. And thanks for taking my, like I said, I wasn't going to call in, but sometimes I get a little bit agitated by what's said because we ask the same questions over and over, but I don't think we understand the psyche, just like this, like I told the guy yesterday. Now forget about the elections, it's over. And what they don't realize is that Ms. Harris, she wasn't supposed to win. If you ask me, that was the test. They pushed her out there at the last minute to see who they can get to bite. They gave the powers that be, gave you Donald Trump. If you follow Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, like I do, he tells you what they're going to do with the country. He said, I don't care who's in office. We control this anyway because I went to one of the seminars because I'm an investor. So, Mr. Fuller, if the people are still blind, deaf, and dumb, you can't get to them anyway. And that's all I want to say. Mr. Bobby.
Hey, Tony, before you go, you mentioned BlackRock. Is that the most powerful corporation in on the entire planet?
Well, they call them the big three. BlackRock is one of them, Blackstone, Core Advantage, which is actually corporate. So, yeah, they got $11.5 trillion under their management. Okay. And when I watched one of the webinars, he said it don't matter because he even said himself, I'm tired of people saying this is the most important election, and I got a mass email that said don't care. We're going to tell them what to do anyway. So people are blind, Mr. Fuller. So I think even after all of us leave here, our people are still going to be still chasing that same rabbit tail or that tail that you cut off of your pit bull that don't exist any longer because we don't get it. And, Mr. Bobby, you understand what I'm saying. Some of us, like Harriet Tubman said, I could have rescued a lot more if you only knew that you was a slave.
Or as Mr. Fuller said, which way did the white people go? All right, thank you.
Thanks for taking. Oh, and one last thing. You remember also on the Shawshank Redemption, he said, "Get busy living or get busy dying." And I'm gonna end it with that.
All right. Okay. All right. That's the lead from the Yo. Appreciate the brother calling in there. Let's go to a Gmail here. Let's see here. Okay. It says, "Hi, Mr. Fuller. I want to know, in your opinion, Mr. Fuller, that having a possible non-white puppet makes some white supremacists comfortable." Now, the reason why I'm asking this is that there's a possibility that Kamala Harris may be the president of the United States government, even though there's only the government of white supremacy. I also recall in 2008 to 2012, Obama's election made a lot of black folks vote in those elections, even though he and Harris both chose white running mates. Thanks. So what did he say here? I want to know, in Mr. Fuller's opinion, is having a possible non-white puppet make some white supremacists comfortable? That was his question, Mr. Fuller.
Well, make some white people comfortable?
Yeah, that's what it, yeah, that's what he said. Make some white supremacists comfortable. That's what he said.
Having a black president.
He said a non-white puppet.
Well, non-white puppet president. Well, these are just, here again, a black person in the system of white supremacy, which I guess we're talking about power here.
Yeah.
Is powerless. Has less power than whom? Than a white supremacist, regardless of where that black person may be located. If a person is non-white, that non-white person has less power than the white supremacists. The system of white supremacy, the most efficient system in the world. All right, a very evil system, but it is that, powerful and evil. All right, so it just means that, see, I don't use it here again. That's why I say we get rid of the labels. We just say we got a system of government, world government, called white supremacy. We need to replace that government with a government where no person is mistreatment, because that's all white supremacy is. You can call it slavery, you can call it by any other of the thousands of labels that we keep dreaming up. You either got a government where no one is mistreated, and that the people that need help the most gets it, or you don't. And we don't have that government nowhere, and there's nowhere in recorded history where such a government ever existed, other than the most powerful of governments so far, of all the other so-called powerful governments, and many of them were really very powerful at the time that they existed. But once the system of white supremacy got in place, no government is proven to be more powerful. Government by people, of people. That's why I say that black people should embrace the Constitution of the United States for America, and in parenthesis, Africa, Asia, because the Constitution of the United States covers anything that's of significance that's happening, anything that's constructed on a large scale that comes under the title of African or Asian. It's the same as American, because Americans don't exist. Neither do Africans, neither do Asians, because Americans, according to logic and according to evidence, Americans and Africans and Asians are people who practice justice, and it's impossible for anyone to practice justice in a system of white supremacy, which is the only real government by people and among people, by people, real important. We have a government that we talk about when we talk about what people speak broadly of what? God. But when you talk about something manufactured by people, no government more powerful than the system of white supremacy.
White supremacy, got it. All righty. Two things. Very good, Mr. Fuller. Good movie you might want to check out. If you can, hold on to it. Rebel Ridge. Thank you, Jane Lance, for bringing that in. If you haven't watched it, I know Netflix has it. It's a very powerful movie. See what you can glean out of that. Mr. Fuller, I wanted to ask you about Casablanca. What did you say was, in your opinion, that you gleaned from that movie, Casablanca? Because you always make reference to that movie.
Just like Under the Frame, Rick Blaine was what? For one thing, just one person trying to do his best he could with the circumstances that he was in. Mm-hmm. And how did he cope with it as an individual, as a lonely individual? Because he was lonely. That's another thing. See, when you're in what they call prison, one thing that they do to you, even when you're put in solitary confinement, they're making you what? Something that nobody really, if they tell the truth, wants to be. That is lonely.
Lonely. Mm-hmm.
People don't want to be lonely. Even, I don't care how many times they lie about it. Nobody likes loneliness. So you have to examine, what is loneliness? When is a person alone? When a person say, well, I'm with somebody else. I'm with all my friends. Or I'm going on this cruise so that I can get away from being lonely. I'll be around I'm going to the big city so that I can be what? Not be lonely. I'm lonesome in the small town.
So in Casablanca, what?
Casablanca was Rick Blaine trying to accomplish the bigger picture in spite of all the odds against him, and even the person who was closest to him other than the person who depended on him absolutely, and that is the black guy, all right, Sam.
Sam, yeah.
All right. And Sam was dependent on a white man, for his survival in Morocco. They were in Africa. Morocco is in Africa.
Exactly.
Casablanca is in Africa. And there's Sam playing the piano for what? A white man.
In Africa.
In Africa. All right? And very, very comfortable saying, hey, I don't have time to go and take off and have what a lot of people call fun, because I ain't got time to even spend the money that Rick pays me for being here at Rick's Cafe.
Okay.
I ain't even got, he's paying me well.
In Africa. Yeah.
Yeah, in Africa.
Yeah, in Africa.
So much money, and how many people in Africa can say this? I got so much money playing piano at Rick's Cafe, and he came from New York, and
yeah,
I got so much money from Rick that I ain't even got time to spend it.
All right.
I got more money than I got time.
All right. Well, we got to go because we only have 20 seconds. Cut out the Suez Canal, and guess what? Israel is in what? Northeast Africa. Thank you for all, Mr. Fuller. Thank you for all the callers that we have. Excuse us for making mistakes. We'll try to do better the next time. ProduceJustice.com. We are out. Thank you, Mr. Fuller.